Welcome to Bible Conversations. What you're about to hear is a conversation starter. We hope that you will be encouraged to go out and start a conversation about the Bible.
There are those today who say, once saved, always saved. Once you have been taken by the Lord, you can never escape. The devil can never snatch you out of his hand. And so he will never leave you nor forsake you. Even if you should turn away from him, you will still never be lost. But let us reflect upon the words of the Lord through the mouth of the prophet Jeremiah. God had spoken to Jeremiah in a time when Israel had been taken into captivity by Assyria. He had put them away. But now he was reminding their sister Judah, also one of the 12 tribes, about what he had done with Israel and what he might do with them if they continue in their wickedness. And so in Jeremiah 3:8, he says, I had put her away, that is Israel, I had put her away and given her a certificate of divorce. Now, of course, this is all metaphoric language. Israel had become like a wife to God who was unfaithful to her husband. And so when her husband, God namely, could no longer endure it and would no longer put up with her unfaithfulness, he gave her a certificate of divorce and put her away. There can be no question that God had most certainly put away Israel. But now let us also think about the initial promises that God had made to Israel and the similarities that we see with just how God also calls his children today. In Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 9, when God initially calls Israel to be his special people, listen to what he says through the mouth of Moses. He says, therefore know that the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God, who keeps covenant and mercy for 1,000 generations. In other words, when God was calling Israel, he was telling them, you will be my children forever. I am a faithful and merciful God. Even David had also affirmed in 1 Chronicles chapter 16 and verses 15 through 17, reminding the 12 tribes of Israel that his covenant is forever. The word which he commanded for 1,000 generations. And so again, even David affirming that the Lord's faithfulness, his covenant is forever. He promised it to Abraham. He promised it to Isaac. He promised it to Jacob. And ultimately, he promised it to the 12 tribes of Israel, giving them, as David calls it in that section, an everlasting covenant. And yet, as we turn back again to the pages of Jeremiah, we see that God had given her a certificate of divorce. He had put away the tribes of Israel. Clearly, Israel was once saved, but had become lost again. There is, of course, a simple explanation to all of this. Our salvation is conditional. In fact, two of the most important words that God uses, even in his covenant with Israel initially, is if you. Exodus 19, verse 5, if you indeed will keep my commandments, if you will keep my covenant, then you will be a special treasure to me above all the earth. You know, even Jesus said to his disciples, if you will keep my commandments, then you will abide in my love. If you and I will continue to keep the faith, if you and I will continue to serve and obey God, then we will continue to receive his gracious salvation. You know, even many of our denominational friends understand that our salvation is conditional, at least initially, upon receiving it. Why is it so hard to understand then that our salvation remains conditional? His commandments are not burdensome, as John reminds us. It's still just as simple as when we had first received it. We're still saved by grace. We're still saved by mercy. We still depend upon him. But if we do not remain in his love, if we do not continue to keep and strive to follow his commandments, then as that inspired writer reminds us in Hebrews chapter 2, verse 1, if we do not give the more earnest heed to the things that we have heard, then we shall drift away. May God bless you in holding fast to the confession of faith.
Thank you so much for listening to our conversation starter. We hope that you have enjoyed it and been encouraged. We also ask that you find us on Facebook and like our page, give us a comment if you so desire. You can also reach us via email at kcocbibleconversations@gmail.com. Please make sure you follow us on Spotify or iTunes, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. And make sure that you download the Ministry League app and all of its wonderful, wonderful tools. Please make sure you check out our full podcast that comes out Fridays at 6 a.m. We love you all. Have a blessed day.